Hey everybody, so today was Autodesk University, and I want to take some time to show you some classes that I got to attend today and some talks as well. So the first thing I got to attend was the Forge for Construction talk. I did watch one of the keynotes as well, but that's not mentioned here. I did mention the Forge for Construction talk because I thought it was kind of interesting, some of the use cases. Forge AnswerBar, not so much a presentation, but what was interesting about that and fun was you're able to talk to these Forge developers, incredibly smart people, and ask them questions about Forge. So it was really helpful, and I'll share a link in that when we get to that in the presentation. Automating MEP placement, element placement using machine learning and Revit. So this was a really interesting use case. It was really cool because this was one that I had spoken to somebody else about, but it was for architecture instead of MEP, and it's just really cool to see somebody actually develop a tool out of this. So a really cool presentation. We'll briefly look at that. Combining Forge and machine learning to automate time-consuming tasks. Some really great case studies that they showed in that one. BIM 360 API, some really awesome updates in that course. Tracking your issues using Power BI. A really fun class talking about using data and visualizing it. So really awesome. So the first one was Forge for Construction. And that was just a talk. And you'll find it if you go to the Forge. It'll be, if you go to Autodesk University, the site, and then to the left, there'll be the Forge button, or the Forge link that you can click. It'll take you here, or you can go to this link below, and you'll find all the links and all the classes that I show. You'll find the links below in the description as well. But if you go there, it's this talk right here. I found this pretty interesting. I haven't listened to the Forge for Building Design. These are pretty basic, but what's interesting to me is hearing the use cases, and maybe there's a way that we can, develop or for fun try to recreate that tool that they show in those use cases. So to me, it's a lot of fun seeing them as opportunities to possibly build something myself. So interesting talk. Let me know if you actually watch that one or any of them. I'd love to hear what you guys think of them. So one interesting thing is it does get into, there's a guy at ACOM, Russ Dalton, and he is their, I think, America Global BIM, or not their America BIM director. And they talked about leveraging data, real-time data on job sites, pulling that information into Power BI. I thought it was a really awesome use case and really cool to see that being done. Now, ACOM's a massive company, so I'm sure they had a lot of resources to develop this, but I really think these are tools that anybody can try to create. There's a lot of free resources out there. So I thought that was an awesome example in that Forge for Construction talk. So the Forge answer bar, so I mentioned this. This was a lot of fun. You could see me here up at the top and middle. I joined it and happened to be the only person in it at that moment, and that was kind of cool because I was able to ask all of them my questions that I had. So I think it's a really awesome opportunity, especially if you're using Forge, to check these answer bars out and ask your questions. This is a link down here to Keen's blog, which is this guy right here, Keen Welmsley. And if you go to that link, it shows the times he's going to be there during the Zoom call, but they're running it, I think, like 20 hours. They have folks kind of going in and out, Autodesk folks that'll be on and off those calls. So definitely check that out and bring your questions. The other, so this is a class, Automating MEP Element Placement Using Machine Learning in Revit. This one was really cool. This image here is the kind of the breakdown of how he went about developing this tool, and the tool will automatically place elements in MEP or in spaces. So it's really cool, and I'm not going to ruin it, but I definitely recommend checking it out. Here's kind of some of the tools that he used and a bit of the workflow here. and he used TensorFlow, PyTorch, Keras. If these are new to you, you've never seen these, LinkedIn Learning has some great courses on this, and of course you can check out YouTube. There's some fantastic courses on this stuff as well. Something I wanted to mention is if you've never went and developed a data, like any kind of data modeling or anything with machine learning, then reading something like CrispDM, or Microsoft has a version of this as well, I think would be really helpful, especially if you've never touched anything like that. Developing an ML model that you can actually deploy. This might be a good starting point if you've never done that. I wanted to share that for folks that have never done anything like that. Check this out. It's I think a 75-page document, and it talks about the different phases of actually developing and deploying a machine learning model, or what they call data mining. Another awesome course was our class was combining Forge machine learning to automate time-consuming tasks. So they combined Forge and machine learning, and with Forge you can automate a lot of stuff, and you can use the cloud resources to automate that as well, instead of using local resources, which speeds up that process. So what was really cool about this class was they had a whole bunch of different use cases, and then they talked through them. So here's some of them, and they actually talked through the solutions, or the way they would typically develop it, and then the route of leveraging machine learning and how they would use it in that instance, instead of using maybe a more traditional automation route with Dynamo or just programming it. But they actually talk about how they leverage machine learning to address those issues, especially where automation doesn't necessarily deal with the issue entirely, and there's still manual input. And they kind of talk about how ML plays a big role in that, and automating all those tasks. So definitely check that course out. I think it's a lot of fun. It's really cool to see those use cases and to see how they leverage machine learning to address those problems. So the other one is BIM 360 API update and beyond. So there's a lot of things in this that I didn't necessarily care about, but I think if you're using BIM 360 and all the different flavors of it, then you may find this entire class a lot of fun. But the thing that I liked the most was them talking about the data that we can actually pull from it, and there were some cool updates in that. Insight was one of them, talking about the data that you could pull out natively, and that's something you can do now. You can export that out. It'll export out a bunch of CSVs. But one thing that was mentioned was this here, and this is in a beta, or it's in the beta currently. It hasn't been publicly released yet, but I think this is really cool. We can get the account activity log data. We can do GET requests now and pull that, or not now, but in the future. It's on the roadmap to be released, so I thought that was really awesome. And then there was a Git project activity. So those are things that we can pull down, and eventually in the future, hopefully, be able to pull down and learn from, and learn how people are using BIM 360. See if teams are using BIM 360 more than other teams, and if there's necessary training, or maybe quantify how much time we're using to manage, and is there ways to automate certain things. So just some awesome data. I found that to be the most interesting. Here's kind of a list of all the updates, and you can see in the admin one is the activities part of it, but some really cool stuff all around. Something I want to mention, it was mentioned in the presentation, was the BIM 360 release notes. This is really helpful if you haven't went out here before. The link is right here, and again, I'll have the link below as well in the description, along with every other link or every other class and document, or blog, or anything else that I link. You'll find it in the description below. But this is you'll find some awesome information on this blog, so definitely check it out. So the last class is tracking your issues using Power BI. I thought this was pretty fun, and I recommend this for anybody that's never done this before, because Brian steps through the process starting with Revit, and he's an incredible, and Brian's the presenter for this class, and he does a incredible job presenting and showing the step-by-steps from Revit, from Navisworks, and then getting that information into Power BI and visualizing it. So it's an incredible course. It's by Brian Myers, and it already has a whole bunch of likes. So definitely check it out, especially if you've never done anything like this. He steps through it step by step, the whole process, and gets you into Power BI so you can actually visualize that information. Here's the snippet of him inside of Navisworks kind of talking about it. Here's Power BI, and what's cool is even if you aren't really familiar with like Navisworks, I think he gives a really good overview for even, and I think to a point where if you don't really have a good grounding in Navisworks, you'll understand it enough after that. After you hear him present on it and talk about it, I think you'll have a good understanding to be able to do it yourself. So that was a really fun class. Definitely check it out. And so that's it for the classes. I'll try to share some tomorrow. I'm wanting to focus them around data, Forge, Power BI, machine learning, stuff like that. So I'll give another update tomorrow on some classes. I may even share some of the cool Dynamo ones as well. So look for that. I'll have that posted the day after the second day of Autodesk University in the morning. And this is the Discord channel. If you haven't heard, it's you can download Discord channel. It's just a place where we can have conversations about different topics, about BIM and data science. And so definitely join that if you want to have a conversation, or if you want to ask questions about ML or BIM or AEC and data. Definitely join that if that's what you want to do. But I appreciate you taking the time to watch this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks a lot.